welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the match preview segment for Everton versus Spurs. Everton are playing at Goodison on Friday night against Spurs. Big 6-pointer. Spurs are just 2 points ahead of us in the table. It might only be 1 point ahead of us in the table now, I think. So, 1 point ahead of us in the league table. We go into this, 7th place may well be the last European place available. So, we've got to go and win this game, haven't we? Let's be honest. I'm with Terry and Mike. I think we've got to win this game, personally. What about you, Terry?
Yeah, if you don't win this, forget about Europe. It's gone. Like, even with the games left, if you're losing to teams directly above you and you're not in the European places already, then you're putting, it could end again with the Spurs game for consecutive seasons. But we're a different team now than we were then. We're not playing very well at the minute, but neither are Spurs. I think we need to make this we could make this the case of Goodison again, where a manager could get sacked at Goodison again because Jose Mourinho's on the road at Spurs. And we've got it in us to beat them. They've got fantastic attacking players, but they can see goals, which is bizarre to say.
We've beaten them twice already this season.
Yeah, so we've beaten them twice, obviously very different games. But we haven't got the luxury now of drawing or losing this game because we drew against Brighton and Palace and didn't beat Burnley, who lost to Burnley. We need to beat Spurs and then we need to beat Arsenal after that, because if we don't, forget about Europe. The season will have fizzled out completely. If we win this game, it puts a totally different complexion on it. We push ourselves back into the European places. We beat an immediate rival for that position, and you can hopefully take that momentum into the rest of the games. But this is key. There is no, there's always the next game. If we don't win this one, we're running out of time. We need to start winning these games.
And how do we go about that, Mike? What would you say the way we've got to go about this game is? Because, like we say, there's no room for error in this case because it's do or die.
Yeah, of course it is. It's massive. We've been saying for the last few weeks, every game's a must win, and if we wanted Champions League football, we had to beat the likes of Burnley, we had to beat Palace, we had to beat Brighton. That seems to have gone away. If you want European football, you've got to beat the sides in and around you, Spurs being the first one. Mourinho's on the ropes. It's one of them that they're a funny side, Spurs, aren't they? And Mourinho seems to, after so long with a club, it seems to go this particular way. But they've got quality throughout the side. Make no mistake about it. They've played Champions League football quite regularly in recent years. They've got probably the best, but they've got the best strike in the Premier League in Harry Kane. Make no mistake about that. Son's always a problem. So they're going to be difficult to beat, of course. I mean, our best performance of the season was against Spurs, first game of the season, by an absolute country mile, in my opinion, even to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, the derby was fantastic, of course, for different reasons. But I think the Spurs game was the most professional performance, and we looked, I thought, exceptional in that first game. Obviously, we haven't got the likes of the core to call upon. Alan's hopefully going to be in there, but touch and go. We should have some players back, as we've said already. So the squad's going to look a little bit better, a little bit fuller, and we've got to use the fact that Mourinho is on the ropes a little bit, and there's a little bit of unrest, it seems, between him and the players. We've got to use that to our advantage, go in there as a collective and play as a side who can get European football, because, like you said already, James, you beat them twice already this season, so why can't we beat them for the third time?
Yeah, we've got to give it our all again. But that's the thing. I've questioned in the last couple of games some of the players' commitments. We can't afford to be slacking like that in this game.
Of course, I mean, commitment is something that you expect. That's the least you expect in every single game. And I think maybe not having anything on the bench to call upon. Maybe some of the players who have started the games in recent weeks have taken the foot off the pedal, knowing full well that they
won't get trouble.
Exactly right, yeah. And I'm sure, I don't want to accuse players, but I'm sure that creeps into some players' minds, that they can maybe go through the motions. But against a decent Tottenham side, whether they're in good form or not, you've got to be 100% at the races. Otherwise, we've seen what they can do this season. They turned United over early season. They can beat the majority of sides in the Premier League on the day.
Oh yeah, certainly. So yeah, with that in mind, tactically, how do you reckon we're going to set up for this one? Is there going to be any sort of tweaks to what we saw against Brighton? You'd like to think there'd be a bit more ambition in the attacking side of things, but what sort of personnel can we hope for?
I think you're going to go hopefully back to the two up front. Cause them a little bit of problem. Try and press on the front with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin and pull them under a little bit of pressure. We don't press all the time, do we? We're selective in our press, Everton, and we tend to press when we think the time is right. But we need to have those two running the backsides off and putting the back four under a bit of pressure. You mean it obviously he's not going to be fit for the game, so you'd expect, we've still got the option there of playing a back three, if you like, or back five, however you want to look at it. But Michael Keane's definitely not comfortable in a back three. When you ask him to play either side of the man in the centre, he massively struggles. But unless he throws Keane in the middle and puts Godfrey and Holgate either side of him, maybe so. But I still think we're going to be slightly cautious. I still think we're going to try and cram the sort of centre of the pitch with three centre halves and hopefully Allen's back in. Tom Davis probably will be in there as well, and Hammers at the top of the triangle, and then try and utilise Luca Dean and Seamus Coleman as wing backs. But I think both have probably struggled in the second sense. Luca Dean and Seamus Coleman, for me, when we play this system, we don't particularly utilise Luca Dean is probably more than Coleman particularly well. But I just think that Carlo will still be slightly reserved in his approach when it comes to and he looks to probably play three at the back, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that does disappoint me because I don't like three at the back. I'd rather see one of the centre backs, namely Holgate or Godfrey, play in midfield and have an extra midfielder there, and have extra body further up the field, because that was our problem against Brighton, is that we barely crossed the halfway line at times.
Of course, yeah, and you want to, certainly against the Spurs side, you want to try and get bodies in and around the middle of the pitch, and as I say, put them under pressure. Obviously, defensively there's going to be concern over the Spurs attacking players because of the quality that they've got, but there's got to come a time with us, hasn't there? You'd think if we're going to show serious ambition to grab a European place, there's got to come a time where we look to try and revert back to a 4-3-3 like we were doing at the start of the season. Yes, we were a little bit more open, but we were scoring goals as well. We were causing problems all the time. So, are we going to be brave enough to do that? Who knows? As I say, I still think it's going to be a little bit more reserved, but I would like to see us be a little bit more expansive and a little bit braver when it comes to taking the game to teams as well.
Definitely, I think we need to be a lot more ambitious, certainly than we were against Brighton. I think that was the real buzzword for me in the Brighton game, was the lack of ambition. Yes, you can set up a team with three at the back, but you see it with Sheffield United. Sometimes they're like centre backs get forward a lot. We didn't see any of that or anything. There was no sort of ambition to get forward. It was really, and I mean that probably comes down to these players aren't really as familiar with this as they are with other formations that we've used throughout the season. But we definitely need to see more ambition, whatever the setup we go with on Friday night. We've got to see players playing to win. We can't be playing for draws, or we shouldn't have been doing it against Brighton, certainly, but even now against Spurs, we can't be doing that.
I think you're always looking for players to be brave, aren't you, and take a bit of a chance, especially in that final third, because too often we get in and around the box, and the ball then goes backwards and it goes back to the centre half from a decent attacking position, and sometimes you just want someone to look to try and take a player on, try and commit the player, get past them, put an early cross in. And I don't think at times, like you say, the word ambition is probably the right way to use it. We're not ambitious enough in certain games, and it takes, it does take a certain player to be brave and want to try and take the game by the scruff of the neck. We have got quality in there who can do that, but we haven't seen it enough, especially over the last probably couple of months since the derby, really, to be honest.
Yeah, certainly. I just think that something's got to give soon if they're going to turn it around. But with that in mind, Spurs obviously a tough side to come up against with the quality they've got. As we notify the threats, obviously Kane and Son are like the two everyone goes on about. But there's a lot of quality in that team.
But they've only got a couple of injuries, and their injuries to Ben Davies and Matt Doherty, so they're not really players who in an attacking sense cause you many problems. They've got the likes of obviously Bergwijn, I think, is a decent player. Lucas Moura always causes problems. I think this season, obviously, Sissoko's not doing too bad. And Ndombele's had a much better season this season for Spurs, and he's, for me, in a slightly more attacking sense, he's a much more of an issue than he was. I think he's a very talented player. So listen, they've got real quality in players. You can do real damage if they fancy it. It just all depends what's happening behind the scenes at the moment with Spurs, and how switched on their players are, and how much their players are really buying into the Jose Mourinho philosophy.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more politics being played there than there is here, but it's gonna be a case of, can we push through it and like take advantage of that? Because if we are ambitious enough, as we were discussing before, I think we're capable of it. We've proven already we're capable of it this season.
I think it's right. I mean, how many games, take Spurs out of the equation, how many games against the so-called better sides have we shown what quality we have got? And when Carlo's got it right, and the players have got it right on the pitch, we've looked very, very good against some decent quality sides. I mean, coming back to draw with United 3-3, winning a Merseyside derby, of course, beating Spurs, we beaten Leicester away from home. We've beaten some real quality sides there. So on our day, when the plan is executed correctly, we've done pretty well. And that's where I think we mentioned frustration. Obviously, we discussed the Brighton game and the fan frustration, and that's where I think the fan frustration comes in, because we know on our day we can cause sides problems. Obviously, we've had the injuries which have hampered ourselves, especially over the last few games. It's been a bit more noticeable. But if we're getting a few bodies, 3 or 4 bodies back in for Friday, then we should be a bit more like the old Everton, should we say, what we were seeing at the start of the season. And the players have got to believe, we've said it already, they've beaten Spurs twice this season. They've got to believe they can beat them for the 3rd time. Nothing at all should hold those players back on Friday night.
Certainly not. I think with that in mind, we'll go with predictions. Terry?
I'm going to go for 2-1 Everton.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for an Everton win. I'm gonna say 1-0, and Calvert-Lewin behind the score sheet.
I'm not quite as confident. I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1. But I'd love to be proven wrong. Never know. We'll just have to wait and see. So it's on to Everton to hopefully give us a slightly better weekend this time than they did last time. Let us know your opinions, guys. Everton versus Spurs coming up on Friday night. Drop us a comment below. Let us know how you're feeling going into that. Give this video a like and subscribe for more content. And until then, guys, thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues.